Radha Vinod Bihari Ji ki jai. Radha Ras Bihari Ji ki jai. Radha Govinda Ji ki jai. Radha Madhav Ji ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Raksha Shri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Daitav Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnu Pada Stotar Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Paramahamsa Shri Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vaisnavas Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Sachidananda Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Gauri Vedanta Chai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Chai ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhattu Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Swarup Damodari Rai Ramdari Shri Gaur Prasad Arinda ki jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikoha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Antadeep Mayapur Simantadeep Godrumadeep Madhyadeep Kaladeep Rutadeep Janadeep Modradrumadeep Rudvadvip Atmakashi Navadeep Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwadas Vanatmaka Shri Brajmandal ki jai. Shri Shamkum Radhakund Jamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamai ki jai. Gopashwar Mahadeva ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakti Pravesh Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Chara Sampradaya ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Okay, it's page 50 in the songbook. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. By Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Sehi Mora Sampada. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Sehi Mora Sampada. Sehi Mora Bhajana Pujana. Sehi Mora Bhajana Pujana. Sehi Mora Bhajana Pujana. Sehi Mora Bhajana Pujana. Sehi Mora Prana Dhana. Sehi Mora Abharana. Sehi Mora Prana Dhana. Sehi Mora Abharana. जीवाना sei mora rasanidhi sei mora vancha siddhi sei mora rasanidhi sei mora vancha siddhi sei mora Vede Radha Rama Sehi Mara Vede Radha Rama Sehi Mara Vede Radha Rama Sehi mora vedhe Radha Rama Sehi vrata Sehi tapa Sehi mora mantra japa Sehi vrata Sehi tapa Sehi mora mantra japa Sehi mora dhara makal Rama 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 Anukula habe vidhi Sei pade hoibe siddhi Anukula habe vidhi Sei pade hoibe siddhi Nirathiva dui nai jane Nirathiva dui nai Nirathiva dui Nirakhi bore duinahiyane Se rupa madhuri rasi Prana kubalaya shashi Se rupa madhuri rasi Prana kubalaya shashi Prapulita habe nishi Prapulita habe nishidi Tu ayat shanayai Gara leja ralo dehi Tu ayat shanayai Gara leja ralo dehi Chiradhina tapitaji Vana Chiradhina Kapita Jivana Chiradhina Kapita Jivana Chiradhina Kapita Jivana Ha Prabhu Kara Daya Deha Mare padachaya. Prabhu karandaya deho mare padachaya. Narottamalayila sharana. Narottamalayila sharana. Narottamalayila sharana. Shri Rupa Manjari Padha Sehi Mora Sampada. Shri Rupa Manjari Padha Sehi Mora Sampada. Sehi Mara Pajana Pujana. Sehi Mara Bhajana Pujana. Jaya Rupa Manjari, Jaya Rupa Manjari, Rupa Manjari, Jaya Rupa Manjari, Jaya Shri Rupa Manjari, Jaya Shri Rupa Manjari, Shri Rupa Manjari, Jaya Shri Rupa Manjari, Jaya Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Jaya Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Guru Parampara, 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 Guru Parampara. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Radhika. Vancha kalpa trubhischa, kripasindhuevacha, patitanam pavanabhyo, vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Om Gyantiramandasya, Yanjana Salakya, Chakshumilitam Yena, Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Trinada Pisunichina, Tarora Pisahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kitni Sagari, Tate Nukampam Susamikshamano, Unjunai Patmakritam Vipakam, Hitvakvapupi Vidam Namaste, Jivita Yomukti Pade Sadaya Bak, Anyabasta Sunyam, Yan Kanaraviti Nivitam, Anukalenya Krishna Shiranam, Bhakti Uttama, Shri Krishna Caitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear God brothers, God sisters, God daughters, God sons, uncles, aunties, God mothers, God fathers, everybody. Beautiful to welcome you to Gurudev's glorification, number 16. So I think by the time we get, Yashar is nodding her head, so I think I'm right. We're on number 16. So by the time we get to the end of today's glorification, we will be exactly 1/4 of the way through our year-long glorification, which corresponds to 6 a.m. in the morning. So we're making little by little some beautiful progress. And also, you could say we're in the Brahma Jyoti, not Brahma Jyoti, the Brahma Muhurti of Gurudev's appearance centennial, because his appearance day, depending on where you are in the world, is on the 10th, 11th, and 12th UK time. I think UK it's on the 11th, and we're now on January the 17th. So we're only we're less than a month away now from Gurudev's centennial, which, by the way, I was told yesterday, coincides with the most incredibly auspicious 7 planets in Capricorn aligning at the same time as Gurudev's appearance day, 100th appearance day. So that's pretty amazing. I think it's going to be one extraordinary blast of energy. And actually, I'm inspired to just briefly announce that we're working on a program at the moment to have a 45-hour non-stop Zoom across the world, from Hawaii to New Zealand, from Canada to Russia, from Brazil to Bolivia to Botswana. I don't know if we got any devotees in Botswana. Anyway, the whole world, we're glorifying Gurudev constantly for 45 hours. So we're going to have up to about 150 devotees back to back. And we're trying to find not just our normal, illustrious, beautiful speakers, but also all the squirrels around the world. We're trying to network with people in China and Russia and Ukraine and countries we don't always connect with, so we can really all bask in the glories of Gurudev. Because when we hear each other speak about Srila Gurudev, we're seeing something of Srila Gurudev, we're relating to something of Srila Gurudev, and we're relating to the spark of love and divinity of Srila Gurudev in each one of our hearts. So it's a very special, beautiful alchemical process that we're going through right now. So thank you for joining us on this beautifully auspicious day. And I will hand over to Yashadari to introduce our first wonderful speaker for the day. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams.
Haribol, can you hear me? I can't believe that every week that I'm having to say, can you hear me? I never thought that this day would come. Anyways, not
very good reception this week, Yashadari.
Oh, good, because I'm in
wherever you are, stay there, okay?
In a hotel. That's why. Anyways, just as at the back of what Yashodanand and Prabhu said, we're just really excited that Gurudev's centennial year has come. So, and this 45-hour program that we're going to be doing live is going to be really fun and phenomenal. So we really hope that everyone can join and participate some way or another. So I would like to introduce our first speaker. He's based in Wales. I've spent some time with him whilst being in Wales with Uma Didi and Siddhanta Maharaj. He's just very loving. He's just very honest. He's very welcoming. The way he's raised his children up are just so wonderful. They're just such beautiful kids that he's raised as well in this Krishna conscious movement. And he's just an ideal, actually. He's a person to look up to. He joined, he took Harinam from Srila Gurudev in 1998 and then Diksha in 2007. But, from this time I've spent with him, he's someone that actually I like, though I have never really told him this, but I actually like spending some time with him. He's a remarkable person and very inspiring, like I said, for a Grihastha like me in particular. So without embarrassing him any further, I would like to introduce our god brother, Vallabh Prabhu from Wales. Haribo. and welcome.
Jai, thank you. All right, you can hear me obviously, yes? Yeah, lovely, brilliant. All right, Dandavats. It's my first time ever doing anything like this. Forgive my offense if any are made. And basically, I'd like to share my experience of Gurudev's causeless mercy. So, I will start. So, Gurudeva Gaura Chandaya Radhika Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Bhakta Namo Namaha Om Jnana Tinamanda Shagananjana Salakta Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurudeva Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhika Priyatmane Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Tinamane. Okay. So yes, I first started on the Krishna conscious path in around about 96, 97. Started going to the manor weekends, week here and there. A very good god brother of mine, he'd been to the manor for a few years and had met Gurudev before. I had about 2 years before. And I was just about to start the Bhakti course. And I said, I'm going to Wales. Would you like to come and meet this sadhu, sannyas of Srila Gurudev, Nitai Maharaj? So I was like, yep, okay, then I'll come along. So rewind a little bit. At that time, I was living in a bedsit, basically rotting away. I like to call this from gutter to guru, because literally I was living in the gutter. And I'm not ashamed to say at the time, I'd had about 10 years of heroin addiction behind me. And so you can imagine, I was literally in this bedsit. I'd been chanting, reading Prabhupada's books. And I can remember reading Easy Journey to Other Planets. And at the time, I was trying to pick apart what Prabhupada was saying, because until them days, I didn't believe in God in any form. I was God, like this. And I looked up the back of the book, and I couldn't find the book, but this picture of Prabhupada is on the back. And I remember looking at this picture of Prabhupada thinking, wow, this knowledge is coming down through this man and coming through this. And I was in this bedsit on my own, literally just rotting away, just blown away from this knowledge, So that's what started getting me going to the manor. So as I said, I was just about to join in on the Bhakti course. And he said, let's go to Wales. So I went to Wales, not really knowing where I was going to see Gurudev, never met, just going along. Anyway, we get to Wales, been there a couple of days, and it was on the Shringadev's appearance day. And initiations were going on. People were going up the stairs to Gurudev's room. And suddenly I just was in this crowd going up the stairs into Gurudev's room. And we all sat down, everyone standing up, sort of asking, why they would like to take initiation. Gurudev's pointing to different people, and you next. And it comes to me, and I'm sort of sat there looking at everyone thinking, initiation, I didn't even go there looking for initiation. It's just, anyhow, I stand up and Gurudev looks at me and I start to speak. And I stood up and said, but Gurudev, I have a problem. And he looks at me with those blue eyes. What is this? He said. And I look at everyone around me. I just thought, be honest. As I said, Gurudev, I have this problem. I've been using heroin now for about 10 years. And he looked straight at me and he goes, problem? This is no problem. Inside I was thinking, no problem to me, probably this is it's just, anyhow, he goes, this is like a mushroom. He goes, it has no roots. If you give to me, I can take like this. And I'm thinking, I actually said it, you're welcome to it, you can have it, He goes, you're like a rose. I always remember, he goes, you're like a rose, like at the moment you're like this, but soon, you'll blossom. And at the time, I'm thinking, that's and anyhow like this. So at that point, I sit down, he sits down, and we're going through, and that was it. Acharya Ratna Prabhu, he was there, and he goes, and why should I give you initiation? And he could sort of see I was a bit, and he just stood up and goes, well, Gurudev, he's here, isn't he? Gurudev, that look. Okay, very good. Sit down. Sit down. The next day, I get initiation, and at that time, I get given the name Palabadas. So, okay, so from that sort of day, I try and keep up to these 16 rounds that he'd asked me to chant, and obviously with my hectic lifestyle at that time, I was chanting maybe 1 round, 2 round, whatever. But I did try and stick to everyday chanting somewhat, reading and chanting the best I could. So from that point, I was corresponding with Gurudev back and forth, emails, how my life was going, i.e. from worse to worse at that time. It still took me another 10 years actually after that point to what I call come clean from using substances. But throughout the whole hellish life that was, I had this rock, which was Gurudev. And I always used to think, why me? Why did Gurudev give initiation to me at that time? Because, a lot of people were chanting this amount of rounds, this amount. And there's even people in that room who even said, no, come back when you're doing this, this, and this. And it wasn't until a few years later that afterwards it came to me, why me? But obviously it's Gurudev's causeless mercy, when boom, what could I do? Look what I was doing before. That's what on my own back, what it was getting me to. So yeah, it's that causeless mercy. It knows no bounds, even for it to affect a solid heart of my own, and obviously, as you were saying, raise 3 children, and that's crazy enough. All boys running around, but anyhow, it's lovely. So for me, hence why I wanted to do this is to try and put over that mercy from Sri Guru is just, it's phenomenal, isn't it? I can't, who am I to try and explain that unlimited pool of that causeless mercy? It's this craziness, it's phenomenal. But here we are coming up to his centennial, hence why I thought I'd try and share what I can. I've never done nothing like this, so I thought I've got to try and glorify my beloved Gurudev as much as I possibly can. I was just saying, so that was it. Yeah, as physical meetings with Gurudev, I never really had many. I was always the person sat at the back of the class, like head down, just listening. But after he left our physical presence, it was after, for me, that's when I sort of got more in touch with Gurudev then, i.e. through his books, lectures, videos. So for me personally, it's since Gurudev has actually left, I've got to get closer to him. I haven't had to try and get through Brajanath or Madhav Maharaj, I've been able to just direct, So for me, it's been a crazy journey, but I'm here now, and hopefully carry on a lot more, keep bringing up my children as best as I can in this Krishna conscious movement. And my eldest son, he's 10, he's profoundly deaf, he can hardly hear anything, but he'll sit down with his little madanga that he's got, and he chants beautifully, better than me, totally more sincere than any of my chant ever been. And that alone just goes to show again that causeless mercy of Gurudev. I remember speaking to Bon Maharaj about him being deaf, and yes, we know about karma and all this stuff. And I was saying, but obviously for him, how does it work with the Shabda Brahma? And obviously we know it's a language of the heart, really, it's not. And he goes, this is no problem. He goes, Mahaprabhu will save him. And he was only 2 at the time. He was about 2. And here he is now chanting, pictures on the wall and all sorts. Even that alone goes to show, again, that causeless mercy. It will just knock everything out the way and just go straight to that source of where it needs to get to. So, yeah, so basically Gurudev saved my life. That's the only thing I can say. And I will and am totally indebted for that, because before, you know, I was just rotting in this bedsit, and here I am now in Wales, beautiful family, you know, Gurudev's just taking care of everything, you know, it's phenomenal. And one verse I'd like to share, which for me, it totally imbues everything, Gurudev and what we owe him, is the Shree Guru Vandana of the Namastraistam Manamapi Sachiputram Atrasarupam Rupam Tajaga Jamuri Parim Matorium Goshtavatin Radha Kundam Girivama Ho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasha Pratita Kripaya Sri Guru Tamnato Shmi. And the English translation, obviously, the first words are, I am fully indebted to Gurudev, because he's brought us to Rupa Goswami, Sanat Goswami, Radhakund, Giriraj Go, all these things Gurudev's given us, also Srila Prabhupada and all other in the line. And it's phenomenal, you know, what he's given us. You know, like I say, I can't glorify from where I'm at, but I try, you know, here I am today trying. So that's basically what I've got to say, and that's my sort of experience with Gurudev. So yeah, Dandavats, Hare Krishna.
Pran Vallabh Prabhu, what you've said, in essence, everything that you've said, you know, I was just thinking about myself when I met Srila Gurudev, and I've always thought to myself, you know, why me? You could have picked anyone in this world. Why did you pick me? And I've always kept that with me. But there's one thing that you said right at the start, which was that, you know, when you stood up and when you met Srila Gurudev, and you know, everyone was answering why they wanted to take Diksha, and then you said that you had a problem. And Gurudev used to emphasize this thing about being honest, this honesty. And actually, without this honesty of realizing who I am and what I am, then Sri Guru can't do anything. Even though Srila Gurudev knows everything. But until we're honest and actually become a glass, then Srila Gurudev can find them anarthas that we can't, like, it's like taking a thorn out of your foot. You have to use another thorn. So sometimes, you know, Gurudev is sometimes so deep within ourselves that we can't even see it. But, you know, Sri Guru sees that thorn, and we have to be honest with ourselves. And I genuinely think that your honesty was another reason for why Srila Gurudev gave you everything. And you can see that in the way you speak and the way you appreciate Srila Gurudev and the way you are now as a disciple. You can see that within you. And I've seen it personally from you, of how dedicated you are towards Srila Gurudev. And I just, you know, you took me back and made me realize so much things. So I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure if Yashodananda Prabhu wants to add something to that, but thank you so much. Whatever you've said is just unreplaceable and magical. Thank you.
Thank you. It's anything for Gurudev and his disciples, you know. Yeah.
Haribol Pran Vallabh.
Haribol.
But you really touched me, man. It's not easy to make me cry. Actually, it's easier than you think, actually. But the tear ducts were starting to come. In fact, you reminded me the other day I was reading a beautiful parable out of the book of Matthew about Jesus' teaching. And it taught about, it's the parable of the wheat. And the farmers went to Jesus and they said, Jesus, if we cut the wheat now, we'll cut the weeds. Sorry, if we cut the weeds now, we'll cut the wheat at the same time. So Jesus said, don't cut it now, wait till the harvest. And then the wheat will be long and luscious. And then you cut the weeds then, and then you'll get the wheat and the weeds will go. And for some reason, the Christians, or this interpretation, was something about end of days, and you basically, everybody who hears the word of God, they'll grow, and those that don't will wither. But I read it very differently. I thought this is Gurudev's path, Rag Marg. So you were saying how, why did Gurudev give this mantra to me? Why did he give me Diksha when I could only chant one or two rounds, whereas other people he was saying different things to? Because he obviously could see that if you got that spark of love, that fire in your heart, then that would carry you through. So your wheat would flourish and the weeds would fall off. As he said, they had no foundation anyhow. And this was so Gurudev's mood. He gave each one of us this spiritual confidence, not because we thought so much of ourselves, but that we have total faith in Gurudev. And often we walk around as human beings in a condition of having low self-worth. Most people on this planet have an insecure conception of themselves. But what Gurudev does, which is so amazing, is he says, don't worry about focusing on your own lack of self-esteem. This is not important. Just have faith in me that I can deliver you from this world. I can take you to Goloka Vrindavan. If I can put you in my pocket, I can take you to Radharani. And what you shared with us was absolutely emblematic of that aspect of Gurudev's heart, which is what keeps me getting up in the morning with enthusiasm, is knowing that Gurudev is like that. And you sharing that with us just makes a bright rose even rosier. So I'm so grateful to you for sharing so openly and plainly and honestly. And I think everybody was touched by what you shared. So thank you so much.
No problem. And just one thing is also, as I forgot, is obviously, as everything, I had to engage in the higher before the lower could go. And that's exactly what Gurudev is doing, you know, not first get to this stage, you know, have this, and by engaging in this, and it's throughout that 20 years of craziness, I could see slowly, this is what was happening. So,
and that principle, Prabhu, that belongs with his common refrain, do not criticize. Yes. Because we shouldn't criticize others, because we're all growing. We're all growing. So it's no point in looking at each other's faults. We should always look for the white spot on the black sheet, or the yeah, I think that's the right way, or whatever color it is. Look for the white spot. Yeah. If there's only one spot, even if it's 0.5%, that's all you care about. It doesn't matter. Just concentrate on the beauty. So thanks. Prabhu, would you mind posting, do you know how to use Zoom chat?
Yeah, I've used it a couple of times with, but yes, I'm sure.
Just post me just go Zoom chat from you to me directly. Just give me your number. I'd love to call you.
Yeah.
I'd love to connect with you. If I have your permission, I was very inspired by what you said.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
Dandavat pranams, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay, Haribo.
So we are now zooming over to the great USA. What do they say? God bless America. We have now 3 speakers from America. Actually, they're beautifully connected, because we've got Nimai Caitanya, and then we have Jai Shree, and then we have, I forgot that the wrong way around. No, that's right. Nimai, and then Jai Shree, then Kalinidi. No, have I got that right around? You should I? Yeah. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
That's fine. We'll go that way. They're husband and wife, so we'll go that way. Is Nimai on?
I saw Nimai Caitanya Prabhu, but I don't know. He's not on screen.
Oh, so maybe that won't be possible. So anyway, in one order or another. Oh, he's there. Fantastic. So we have Nimai Caitanya, and then we have Jai Shree, and then we have Kalinidi. So Jai Shree and Kalinidi are married, and Jai Shree came to the devotees through Nimai Caitanya. So it's a lovely combination. And I'm going to introduce Nimai Caitanya first. Nimai came to the devotees, first met them in 1986. So he's trodden this path for quite a while in this lifetime. And he met Srila Gurudev in 2002 and quickly took Diksha the very same year. He gave the devotees and the devotees acupuncture and also massage Gurudev many times. And he has a wonderful practice, a medical practice, 25 years standing, and has written a book called Total Life Cleanse, Nourishment for Body and Soul. It's quite a tome. It's a very thick, very thorough, exhaustive book on maximum health, which is, I think, something that devotees are increasingly focusing on, because devotees' health is often quite up and down. And I think there's an increasing acknowledgement that part of the Varnashram Dharma system is keeping your temple of a body intact so that we can serve and please Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and Guru to a much better degree. So he's an expert in this area. So Prabhu, we're very excited to hear your offering. Thank you for joining us early in the morning from the USA, and Hari Bol, Dandavats, good luck.
Everybody can hear me okay?
Very well, Prabhu, very well.
Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. First, I'd like to offer my unlimited Dandavat pranams to Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astotra Sakta Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And also unlimited Dandavat pranams to Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astotra Sakta Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all the beautiful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis here. Thank you for this opportunity. Dandavat pranam. So, what a beautiful opportunity. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and also this, like you said, Prabhu, this alchemical process that's happening. This is an alchemical process. It's really such a rare, wonderful opportunity to hear each and every jiva's experience of Srila Gurudev to some degree. To appreciate that is such a blessing at this time. And somehow it's all connected deeply, not only to our bhakti, but also to the insanity on the planet. I see all these Zoom calls and the intense amount of kata that's happening all over the planet. I have to believe is planting seeds that will have an impact in the future in some way as we all come together. Because as when Gurudev left, there seemed to be this disbursement and so much concern about that. But in some ways now it's like we're all coming together again. Lord Chaitanya's movement, Krishna is the trickiest. Lord Chaitanya's movement will continue as we cooperate, love each other, hear the mercy of Srila Gurudev and the beauty of Srila Gurudev. Such a powerful thing. So I'll just say a little bit. When I was young, I remember, I think I always wanted to be a hippie. I was just a little bit premature for that. I was born in 60. I'm 60 now. But, you know, I admired the hippies. I admired Be Here Now. I got into Yogananda and meditated. And then I met devotees in college in Pennsylvania. And we took a trip to Gita Nagari. And I just remember thinking, this is amazing. I'll never become one of these guys, but this is amazing. And then I went to the Boston Temple, and many of you know Champakalata Dasi. She lives in California with her beautiful family and husband. And but she was a devotee at the Boston Temple, and I'd go there every day, and she'd give me piles of prasad. And finally, one day I went to England, and I met the devotees in England, and ended up, long story short, getting initiation in '86 from Bhagavan shortly before he ended up leaving. And in the meantime, I had met Brajanath in Holland. So all these little connections were being made. And after Bhagavan left, I decided to go to massage school, something that I wanted to do. So I studied massage, and I landed at the massage school in Northern California, and the founder of the place came down and said, Hare Krishna, would you like to chant Hare Krishna every morning at sunrise? So I knew I was in the right place. And, you know, in the institution, I sort of was concerned that if I leave, then will Krishna still be here? You know, because we were kind of trained that if you leave the movement, then you're finished. And I realized, well, that's not true. God is everywhere, and Krishna is taking care of me. So anyway, you know, long story short, I got a great association with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, with Naranjana Swami, some really nice devotees who maintained loving, compassionate relationships with me, and then got married, had kids, started a healing center. And then in 2002, I started communicating with Prabhu from New York, and he started sending me tapes and books and magazines. And there was a part of me that was just drinking it in, and a part of me was resisting it because I'd always heard, don't go see Narayan Maharaj, don't go see Narayan Maharaj. So then one day I found out he was in New Jersey. And I remember this molecule of intelligence that was still there that said, oh, if they're saying don't go see him, you should go see him. So I went, and it was amazing. When I got there, I remember walking into the class, and Shamarani Didi was giving a class and speaking about how to chant japa properly. And I was hearing things I had never heard before. And again, part of me was like, you know, what is this group? Who are these people? And, you know, because I'd been outside of ISKCON for some time, although I was chanting regularly some degree. And, but the feeling, there was so much love and so much intensity. And then I saw Srila Gurudev, and it was just a whole nother universe. And I was fortunate enough to go into a room with, I know Brajanath Prabhu was there because he helped bring me in. And then this one other devotee was there. And I remember Srila Gurudev looking at me with those intense blue eyes. And for me at the time, it was kind of scary because I had not been living in the temple for a while. And, you know, he just looked at me and said, yes, you have done some things, no harm. And he said, I will give you everything that your Srila Prabhupada has come to give. And he just looked at me so intensely, and it was just so amazing. Anyway, then he chanted the mantra, and it was interesting. He gave this other devotee, he said, you chant 4 rounds a day, to this one other person. And then he said to me, you chant at least 16 rounds a day, because he knew I'd been around for some time. So that was a whole nother thing, because in ISKCON, that kind of thing was never done. Anyway, after those 3 or 4 days, it was just so much was happening and so much was spinning inside. But what I do know is that the 4-hour drive home, I couldn't stop chanting. And I remember hearing again and again that the fruit of being in the association of a pure devotee is that you want to chant. And so for 2 or 3 weeks, you know, I went from chanting 3-4 rounds a day to chanting at least 16, sometimes 32. And it was so easy. And I just kept thinking, this is the association of the pure devotee. And of course, from that point on, I started going to the different festivals and writing Brajanath Prabhu and writing Srila Gurudev and going to the festivals. But in that New Jersey festival, I remember one thing that was very powerful was Srila Gurudev was getting a massage. And because I did massage professionally at the time, I was really nervous. I felt completely unqualified from a spiritual perspective. But, you know, I thought, well, why not? And so I went over there, but I was scared to go in the room. And some of you might know Rema Devi. She yelled at me and she said, Prabhu, why are you being so scared and so weak? You have to have greed. And I'd never heard in such a powerful way that idea of greed. I'd always been very, you know, careful and sort of on reverence and like that. And it really stirred up this thing, like my fear. I'm fearful of moving forward. So I finally pulled up the guts and I went up to Brajanath Prabhu and said, you know, I do massage. And he remembered me, of course, from Belgium. And he brought me right in the room. And I was one of the 5 or 6 people that were in there. And that sort of began that opportunity. And then I remember in Badger, some incredibly sweet, beautiful times. And, you know, I feel completely unqualified to have done that. It was just my skill in doing that service or doing that work in the world that gave me that opportunity, and the mercy of the devotees that allowed me in there. But just one insight into working with Srila Gurudev's body and being that environment. First thing is that his body, to me, was completely transcendental. You know, as a massage therapist or as a healer, for those of you who might do some healing work, whether you consciously know it or you sense it, we can sense energy blocks or stagnation, or we could call it the different gunas and you know, energies in a person's body. And to different degrees, we can even articulate that. But with Srila Gurudev, to me, it seemed like always a full stream of air. There was nothing blocking, anything like that whatsoever. It was like nothing I'd ever felt before. Not that I was surprised, but I really noted that. It was like a pure stream of pure prana, you know, on that level is all I can say. And then, you know, every once in a while when Gurudev was in that position, he would look up at different devotees and he would just for an instant catch their eyes. And in being in that situation where he's lying down, because it's not that often where, you know, Gurudev's in that submissive position, at least in my experience, you know, he would just look up and just sort of gaze sometime at different people and just that momentary glance. And I remember one time I was holding his head and some of the devotees encouraged me. Like I remember Chitananda Prabhu was often in there and he was saying Gurudev, he thought Gurudev really liked it because he would get very quiet and very peaceful and sometimes even go into an altered state or a deep state. And one time he just very briefly looked up at me and he gazed up at me, and that image is still imprinted in my consciousness. Those beautiful blue, crystal clear, penetrating eyes that you know, goes right to Vaikuntha. And this, on the call this morning with Tridandi Swami, we were talking about humility, because King Paranjan is described that when he went into the forest to hunt or to chase women, it was due to his great pride that made him lose his intelligence. And we were talking about humility and the importance of humility and how Gurudev always emphasized that. And I had always wanted a real guru. And I always believed that, you know, even within the institution at ISKCON, that a living entity, we all deserve to choose, not to choose, I mean, it's all mercy of Guru and Krishna. But I mean, we should not be controlled by an institutional situation when it comes to the spiritual master, because this is our life and this is God and this is, you know, we must have that choice. And I remember thinking, you know, in those days that I want a spiritual master that is real, that is so far beyond me spiritually that there's no doubt. And I remember knowing that to be true with Srila Gurudev. And we were talking this morning about how Uddhava looked up at the prem of the gopis, and it was like he had his cap on. He looked so high on the top of the mountain and the cap came off. And this is when I first met Srila Gurudev, how I felt. And it was actually so easy to be humble in the presence of Srila Gurudev, not because I'm humble, but because of the incredible purity and the incredible level of advancement that, of course, he's an eternal associate of Radha and Krishna. So there's not even a question of level, but that contrast between the pure Sat Guru, Rasika Sat Guru of Srila Gurudev, and myself. So what a relief that was. I remember just a couple things that have been so prominent in the early stages. I remember when we were in Florida and Kirtananda was there. And I was very concerned because, you know, there's so much hoopla around that whole thing at the time. And Gurudev allowed him to speak. And this is probably 2003 perhaps. And so I was still a little bit like, you know, how will Gurudev handle this? And I was a little bit worried that, and I mean, this is my own fear, my own projection, but a little bit worried that what happens if Gurudev honors him more than is worthy of him to be honored? I was concerned that, you know, my material condition, that Gurudev wouldn't handle it properly, and it would upset so many people, because there was one camp of people that were horrified that he was there and another camp was very happy he was there. So anyway, he allowed Kirtananda to speak. And he spoke basically Krishna consciousness with sort of be here now awareness, you know. And what happened was that after he spoke, you know, Gurudev clapped a little bit and appreciated him. And then he said, and I was worried, like, what's going to happen now? And then he said, you should all know that what he spoke is the very beginning of the beginning of the beginning of bhakti. And all of a sudden I felt very safe. I said, this is my perfect father, my perfect protector, because he taught etiquette. He taught everything in those 10 minutes that he spoke. He taught everything, how to respect, how to honor. And he also publicly put that person in the right place, because he was speaking, he was thinking he was speaking the highest philosophy. And Gurudev just put everything in perspective. And I felt very safe. And I knew at that point that this person is the most safe person for me to associate with and take shelter of in my life. So the years went on, and we have a family. So, you know, a busy practice here in Boston. And so most of the time when I saw Srila Gurudev was either in Houston or Badger, and then a couple times in India. We went with Jai Shree one year. And so those times in Badger, such mercy, I had so much energy. All I wanted to do was treat the devotees. It was like Gurudev's mercy and energy was just coming through so powerfully at those times. And then those wonderful opportunities to massage Srila Gurudev and be in that atmosphere was such an incredible blessing. I remember when we were in Delhi and Srila Gurudev, I was actually in the room, and they had asked me to come in and do a little acupuncture. Gurudev did not like acupuncture. He looked at me one day and says, too pokey. He didn't like it. But blood pressure was very high, so I came in the room, and I remember at that moment when Srila Gurudev said to Brajanath Prabhu, take me to Govardhan. And that understanding meant, in our minds, that that's when Gurudev wanted to leave this planet. And I remember Brajanath asking him 3 times, are you sure you want to go? And Gurudev said yes. And I still remember that time when they carried Srila Gurudev. Excuse me. When they carried Srila Gurudev out of the Delhi temple in that chair, and he had actually no energy. It was incredible. But as he was coming down, he was blessing everybody in the same way that he always did. Looking at everyone, making eye contact with everybody. He could barely keep his body up, but he was still blessing and blessing and blessing. And then he went to Govardhan, and so many pastimes happened there, as many of you were there. It was a very amazing time. And of course, we know that he tricked us all by not leaving Govardhan, but leaving later on Vallabh Maharaj's appearance day. But so many wonderful memories, of course. I just wanted to say one other thing, is that when I first came in contact with Srila Gurudev, there were so many, when I first met devotees, when I finally accepted that God is a person, and I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, because when I was studying the teachings of Yogananda, which to me was a very beautiful path, and I appreciate him, and what I learned about meditation, but I always had this image in my consciousness that there was like a triangle, and the top of the triangle was missing. Like, even sometimes the teachings were, I am God, you know, God is, Yogananda taught prayer to God, but there was never any clarity about who is God and who am I and what is my relationship. And when I came to Krishna consciousness, that all became very, very clear, very, very clear. And being in the institution, there were certain things. At one point I was serving Bharati Maharaj, Keshava Bharati Maharaj in Spain. And I remember one time he left his room, and I was in the room, and I opened up a cabinet. I was kind of snooping around, actually, looking at different books, and I found the Caitanya Charitamrita, opened, and it had a little note in it. And it was all these little notes. And it even said something like, you know, this is not for the general devotees. And I was like, what? So I started reading it. And it was the chapter 4, Adi Leela. And I started reading this. I had like an hour to myself. And I was like, I had never heard the internal reasons of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And it was such nectar, and nobody was talking about it. And I'd never heard about it. And then I realized when I met Srila Gurudev, that moment in that room, how all these threads happen in our life, and how Krishna's planting all these seeds all the way along. And we don't necessarily know why these seeds are being planted. But then I made the connection. Oh, they're telling me over here I'm not supposed to hear these things. And Gurudev is telling me we must hear these things. We have to hear these things. And then when I first met him, it was like all the misconceptions that I had developed over the years due to institutional impressions just started falling away, and Krishna consciousness made sense again. And the path made sense again. And then the association with the beautiful, loving devotees of Srila Gurudev, everything started making sense again. And now I realize that I was saying this morning that the longer I'm on this path, the more I realize how fallen I am. Because how much do I really realize the love of Radha and Krishna? But Gurudev gave us the real standard. And he made it safe for us. And we understand that at every moment he's cleansing our heart. He's doing heart surgery. And he even said once that without us even knowing, he's doing this heart surgery. And I fully believe that, and I fully accept that. And I fully know that Srila Gurudev is the top of the top of the top. And that even though he does not want us to have Aishvarya mood with him, our caps fall up when we look at his greatness and his beauty and his Rasika, beautiful nature. So thank you for the opportunity to say something. I don't want to take too much time. And thank you to all the devotees and this beautiful opportunity. Panchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Nimai Jai, Haribol. I'm very eager to see the picture behind you, which we can only see 2/3 of. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Darshan. Haribol. There's something that comes up in Krishna consciousness for me all the time. I think it's a Chincha Beda Beda Tattva that is the causal ingredient of this. But it's just in the same way as we think we're the most special to Gurudev, and yet I can also understand how you're the most special, and I'm the most special, and we're both the most special simultaneously. So of course that doesn't work logically at all, but what's logic got to do with the heart? And in the same way, every week we have glorifications, every week is the most special, and each one is the most special, and every speaker is the most special. It's an extraordinary quality, and I haven't felt anything other than that. Basically, the last glorification I've heard is the most special one. It's so beautiful. And firstly, I wanted to sort of acknowledge and have some real deep respect for people like yourself, unlike me, who didn't have to do this, but you made the move over from what you had institutionally been led into to making a choice to Srila Gurudev, and therefore having to deal with probably a lot of issues along the way of making that choice. There was a lot of pain and sacrifice involved. You probably had friends who disapproved of what you were doing. Maybe they came across later, all that kind of stuff. That is all very achingly difficult stuff to deal with. I was on that first 96 tour. So although I didn't have the vision to understand it all then, I could understand it something in my heart, and it's obviously become clear over the years. So I really want to acknowledge that. And in a sense, just like we owe a debt to the Prabhupada disciples, we also owe a debt to people like yourself who made that move and who showed by example. And I loved what you said. There were the 2 G's in your glory, or 3 G's because you were glorifying. So the 2 G's within the G, the 4 G's because you're glorifying Gurudev. But there were 2 G's that you mentioned: greed and glance/gaze. And I think the glance/gaze actually fuels our greed. And that struck a real chord for me, because when I first heard this word greed, it still makes a huge difference to me. And of course, because we're Tatasha Shakta and because we're conditioned devotees, we go in and out of greed. So when I don't have greed, I know exactly where to go. I go to greed for greed. And so I'm never bereft. I'm never cut off, because if I'm not feeling greed, I go for the greed and eventually get back to the greed. And that's what Gurudev, he taught us that, which actually links back to what Vallabh said about him. Gurudev always wanted us to catch light, to catch a fire. He wasn't so worried about our faults. He knew that they would burn off if we had the taste, if we had the fire. So you really implanted that in me. And also when you were sharing about the glance of Gurudev, those glances, I mean, that's, you know, you have things you put into your meditations, then you forget them and re-remember them. So that's a really beautiful thing to connect me back to, that glance, that gaze. So Prabhu, thank you so much. That was really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
That's right. I hope one day to make it across to America and be able to lie on your comfy sofa there as well.
You're totally welcome. Totally welcome, sir.
I'm going to make that my own. It looks lovely.
Totally.
Hare Krishna. So we're going to move across not so far in, I'm not quite sure the geography, but I don't think you're that far from Jai Shree and Kalinidi. I have to pay my dandavat and apologies to Kalinidi. I think I absolutely mullered his name, which is not unlike me. I'm not brilliant on the Vedic names, so apologies for whatever I pronounced before. I have known Kalinidi for many years. I can't believe I mashed his name up. Sorry for that disrespect. I'm going to introduce Jai Shree and Kalinidi at the same time, because they are husband and wife with the most beautiful little kid. And I've had the good fortune of them staying in my house, and they are a very beautiful couple, and we also have to remember couples are also individuals, so they're very beautiful as individuals and as couples simultaneously. Jai Shree actually met Nimai Caitanya in 2006, and she joined the Jaiva Dharma reading group in 2008, and really started getting absorbed then, and met Gurudev in 2009, took Harinam in 2009, and took Diksha in 2010. She did a lot of, I was amazed when she told me the story. I just can't see Jai Shree in Nigeria, but it's like one of those inconceivable concepts, running around Nigeria serving, but it sounds like an amazing trip she had with Ashram Maharaj in Nigeria. And I'm sure she'll share some of those pastimes. Kalinidi, whose name means storehouse of the arts, is a very talented musician and celloist. And he met the devotees as a cello player. I think I remember him doing some music cooperation with Sudevi and Kishori, but maybe I'm dreaming that. I seem to remember back in 2007, and met Jai Shree in 2010, and they were married a couple of years later. And so I think Jai Shree is going to speak first, and then Kalinidi afterwards. And they've written a beautiful song for Gurudev, which will be sung when Kalinidi comes on. They are a very beautiful couple, very different characters, and they blend together wonderfully, supporting each other. So I'm going to introduce them both, and I'm not going to interrupt between the two. So if Jai Shree can speak and then straight over to Kalinidi, that will be absolutely wonderful. Thank you, and good luck to both of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you, Yashoda ji, and that was beautiful. And thank you, Nimai Caitanya Prabhu, who we have so many glorifications for. First of all, I want to offer my most heartfelt Dandavat Pranams to my beautiful Srila Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Srimati Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and the same unlimited obeisances to my grandfather Guru Srila Prabhupada, and to Param Gurudev, and to Jagat Guru, and to all of the Vrajavasis who have ever touched the holy dust of Vraj, and to all of you, especially all of you and all the devotees all over the world. So I haven't started crying yet, so I take that as a win, but I have leaky eyes, and that's who I am. So the leaky eyes will probably begin. So, and it's so funny, of course, Yashoda, you said Achincha Beta Beta Tattva, which is the first, you know, the line that always comes because it's such a both and world. And especially due to the experiences Kalinidi and I have been going through these past months, which I will reveal to you guys. But because of those experiences, the whole past 10 years since I met Gurudev have sort of come like very clearly, which is to say, I understand my incredibly, while I have some nice, while I have interesting karma and some sukriti, it's as if I met Gurudev and it was all just leading up to that, where he could pluck me and take me and put me into use. As mentioned, Nimai Chaitanya is such an amazing part of our Sangha here, and he was doing medicine and Ayurveda and treating so many people for so many years without kind of being out as a devotee. And when I left my world, I was an actor for many, many years, and I left that whole world and came to Boston, and I met him and started working with him. And one day he said, so after a while, you're studying yoga now, right? I was like, yeah, I was a full-time yoga teacher by that point. He said, oh, you're leading some kirtan? I said, yeah, I'm chanting mantras and leading kirtan because I was a singer. And then I gave it up and I was doing it again. He said, you're not eating meat or alcohol anymore. I was like, no, yeah, I went vegan in 2008 and I haven't had any such and such. And he says, so do you want to go deeper? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, well, come to this class. We're going to study this Jaiva Dharma. And I opened the book that day and I saw Gurudev. And I had never known anything about bhakti. I had known nothing about anything higher class in regards to Vaishnavism or guru or anything. I grew up Jewish and I studied religions and I traveled the world and I was singing and dancing all over the world, but I never not gotten that far. Even hearing the names of devas and you know, avatars, and not of Krishna. So I saw Gurudev and it was Gurudev. And that's why I said, oh, there's my Gurudev. And it was this understanding and recognition that, as you all know, is really impossible to fully talk about and never fully digest. But I know that I wanted to see God my whole life, and I always saw God, and I tattooed God's name, and I don't recommend doing that, of course, on my foot, a different name for God. And I did that when I was 18 years old, even though I wanted to do it forever, and I was in New York, and I did it as soon as I could when I was at university. And then I was moving furniture about a week later, and a desk fell on my foot, right on the heart where it said Yahweh above it, and chunked out the middle of that heart. Yes. So I understand karma in a very real way, as many do. And that was one of those first times where it was like, don't write God on your foot. But my conception of Guru and God was evolving, because where God was like Abraham Lincoln or some kind of guy, bearded guy sitting on a cloud growing up, and I was talking to him, I can see now that, you know, also that was Gurudev. So when I met Srila Gurudev in Houston, in Texas, I was just, you know, I've said this before, but I was ridiculous. I was always running to the bathroom. I was always like, all my karma and all my stuff was just leaking out of my eyes and running around. And I was so stupid. I really didn't have any higher intelligence, even though I have very good parents and I had a lot of education. And it's like all that was just to meet the devotees, and it was all to be used in the service of Shri Guru and Vaishnava. And that time where I left my world and my career was the first epic pivot. And it takes those epic pivots, right, to meet your Gurudev, to meet my Gurudev. I took Harinam in Houston, and Nimai and so many others had become my spiritual family. And I just traveled the world to be with Gurudev as much as I could, to India many times over, but I only had 1.5 years with him. And perhaps, you know, my only qualification really was faith. It shows in the end, because, you know, of all the beautiful secrets revealed in Vaishnav Dharma and etiquette and Vedic literature and spoken word and written text, the highest thing we can have is Shraddha ultimately, and keep coming back to that and surrender, you know, Saranagati, and that's love. And true love is free and rich and undeniable. And the devotees are the most reliable. That's Narayani. So a lot of my Shiksha teachers are very heavy at times, which I need, which I appreciate. And I always take. If any of you want to give any, I'll take it. I need it. And also most devotees are soft-hearted like me. I understand. So the leaky eyes is very real. And divine qualities like Gurudev has are inherent. And so Kalinidi and I, we've been doing this thing. We've been trying to buy our first home at Bhakti Bandhav in New York. And to be perfectly honest, it's been the greatest upheaval of our life. And after looking for a long time and, you know, knowing like we don't do things materially, we'll give everything. You know, we opened a yoga studio in 2016 for 2 years and gave everything, gave all the money, any money that came, and just kept showing up. But, you know, a lot of money later in the hole, you realize, okay, I'm over endeavoring. And there was a time where with this house, we thought we must be over endeavoring, but it was those, even with all the material, it was Gurudev speaking through the devotees and giving these hints. And this is why and it's not over. It's not over till it's over. We gave up for like a day and now we're back, and maybe it will happen, maybe not. But the hints and the gems that have been coming are so impossible to understand except in this one way. Gurudev brought me, or I found Gurudev when I was 30. I'm 44. And it didn't happen until then because I had to utilize all my effort. I had to give away everything. I had to die and come back as many times as possible before I got to him, so that he could then take all that effort and all that work and all those tears and all that sadness and put it towards something. And the last, 12 years, I guess, or yeah, of this time, or 13 years, whatever it is, has been about relationships. It's always about sambandha. It's always about relationship. And I've been in relationship with all these people. Now I'm understanding, why did Gurudev have me in the room once? These are lots of secrets, right? But we're sharing secrets. Like, why did Gurudev have me in the room at Premananda Prabhu's temple with Brajanath and Madhav Maharaj and Vishvambar? And why was I at Yamuna's wedding, just me and, you know, Vish? Or why was this and that? There's all these things. Why did we, you know, why that amazing time where we spent time with Yashoda? I mean, of course, it was just so lucky and it was so beautiful. And our relationship with Raghava and Banu, and of course, Nimai and Kumudini, his beautiful wife, and our best friends, Shamli and Shamrupa, and here, and, you know, so many times of going to India, all these little things that happened in India or happened in Badger. Why was I always running around with absolutely like no actual thing to do and yet was put in service over and over and over again? It was all because Gurudev was collecting us to be in service towards a higher goal and a mission. And it seems like in this time and age, with everyone being so divided and there's so much pain and there's so much karma and so much, you know, lessons to deal with, clearly it all comes together at certain times, like now, or like Bhakti Bandhav, or like a project where the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can move forward. And that is my only prayer, is to, because karma is going to come and migraine and pain will keep coming, but the mission and the faith in the mission and the faith in Guru, that's probably the only thing I have. And whatever morsels of Sukriti or good karma Gurudev wants to bestow on me to make that mission happen and make it possible, that's what I'll do. So, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sinubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. That might be what I wanted to say. Kalinidi Das, I don't know how much, you should tell us how much time, but he might want to say something, but we want to just offer this song.
No, you're great for time. You're great. You can go for, yeah. We're actually early today. I think we've never been early for anything.
I was gonna say that, why don't you close our program with your song? That would be most wonderful if that's okay.
Of course, we can do.
Please.
Kalinidi is going to speak as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
If you insist.
Absolutely.
Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Jena Tasmai Shree Gurave Namaha Gaurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadayale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Iti Namane. For my heartfelt obeisances to millions of times to my beloved Srila Gurudev, to my beloved Srila Prabhupada, to Paramdev, Srila Bhakti Pragan Kesha Goswami Maharaj, and to entire Guru Varga, and to all the esteemed and exalted Vaishnavas in this assembly and all over the planet. And to these two Vaishnavas here, who are
we love her interventions. Don't worry, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just let the chaos ensue. It's fantastic.
Yes.
That's how
She
we
wants
live.
to come in front of the camera and stick a tongue out. That's no problem.
Yeah. Well, they are my most esteemed treasure and the manifestation of Srila Gurudev's mercies. So actually all if any blame is to be placed, all blame is to be placed on Jai Shree and to Nimai Chaitanya Das, because they're the ones who have smuggled me in through the back door, so to speak, into this and all assemblies with Vaishnavas, because I am wholly unqualified and the rascal of all rascals. What can I say? I always go back to the gift and the wealth of Srila Gurudev's devotees and my association with them, because I did not have the great fortune to meet Srila Gurudev when he was exhibiting his manifest embodied pastimes on the planet. I was coming in to the orbit of our Sangha here in the Massachusetts in the USA, right around when Gurudev was starting to conclude his manifest pastimes. And I really had no conception of or capacity to really understand what that Leela was to Jai Shree and to Nimai when it was happening. I was very much in a Mayavad conception, very much into Taoism.
It's okay. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm just
and
looking at you. I'm just ignoring the fact that she's putting her hands.
She's ransacking. But it was all through the mercy, what Jai Shree was saying, that Gurudev takes us, and what all the devotees say, Gurudev takes us and he puts us into service, and he has a higher vision and a higher plan for us, and he gives us, he, like Prana Vallabh was saying so beautifully, he sees us as the rose that is yet to blossom, but he knows exactly what we need to blossom. So he took me, and knowing that I, was a musician and had an ego around that, and he put me into Kirtan, and he captured me through, wonderfully, exquisitely executed plan to not only put me in service of Kirtan, but then to attract me through association with Jai Shree into marriage, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in the Jaiva Dharma, most of us are qualified for Grihastha Ashram. It's the safest, right? I believe he said 90% of us need Grihastha Ashram in order to be under shelter and to start to sublimate some of our material-based desires, and to have those directed towards a higher service. So he took me in that way and gave me just the greatest fortune of association of, it was 2012 that Jai Shree and I started to embark on our path of coupleship, and we were able to host Kishori Mohan and Sue Devi for a week. They stayed with us, and that was like the deep dive into this sweetness, this inexhaustible sweetness of Srila Gurudev and his teachings, and the depth of wisdom and maturity around, for me, someone who had not taken shelter of a guru, and receiving instruction about how to approach that. And it was a teaching that really started with the recognition of sovereignty of the soul, and that the soul and what it is to take shelter of a guru and to offer one's soul. What to speak of, do I even know what that means to offer? But it's something that's so important, so vital, so special. And at that time when Srila Gurudev had just left, and as Jaishree was saying, and Nima was saying, that the Sangha was sort of going into the separation mood and dispersal, I was being given instruction to wait, to observe, to take shelter of Gurudev's devotees, and to become matured in that process. And I got that instruction from so many, Yashoda Nandan including on this call, from Brajanath Prabhu, from Ashram Maharaj, from Srimad Bhagavat Maharaj, from Srimad Saja Maharaj, but Madhav Maharaj, and then Srimati Shamarani. She actually came right after Kishore Mohan and Sudevi came that summer. And she stayed also with us and did a Massachusetts tour for about a week. And she gave me my name, and she gave me, she calls it pre-initiation, although I think it carries a lot more weight than that. But she gave me instruction on chanting. She gave me my name, Kalinidi, which comes from the Ujjval Nilamani, and it's a name for Krishna in the Rasa Leela. Krishna is Kalinidi, which means she described him, Srimati Shamarani described it as, he's like the master he's the owner of the instrument shop. He owns all the instruments, but it's Srimati Radharani who is Kalavati, and she's the master player. And so she comes in and picks up the veena, and she plays all the notes, and then she plays the fifth above the highest note, and she sings in harmony with it and just completely blows Krishna away and captivates him, which was such a deep teaching for me as a musician with my ego, which is that, I may have some capacity to play, but it's the names that I attempt to serve with whatever music I can produce that are the star of the show and are the center point. And so that's a forever meditation for me in that kirtan process, that we are not meant to be stars. We're not meant to be the center of attention. We're meant to serve, and we're meant to serve the name. So what else can I offer to Srila Gurudev? Maybe I'll say one more thing, because hearing the stories and the secrets are so precious. And it's so good, it's said, to do that in the company of Vaishnavas. So I'll share one secret that really never gets shared, which is that even though I never met Srila Gurudev, I have a very close connection with him, and with Param Gurudev as well. And when Jaishree and I, we lead retreats, as Jaishree was encouraged to do by Brajanath Prabhu through Gurudev, because we're both yoga teachers. And so we're encouraged to bring our yoga students to Vrindavan. It's always a little bit of a shock, they know us as, in the yoga asana way, and it's a much different culture here in the US, and it's kind of new agey, and all this, stuff kind of floats around in the same space. But they recognize something, and then they decide to come to Vrindavan or come to Mayapur with us. And it's always beautiful transformation, but there's always this little, can be quite a shock to come and to come in contact with that. But we came to Mayapur to lead our last retreat in 2017. And after we led, and we stayed at Sri Keshevji Gaudiya Mat, we had beautiful final darshan with Srila Bharati Maharaj. And then we were inspired to go to Kerala, south. And it's funny hearing Jaishree tell this, because we're always, and especially her, she's like pedal to the metal. Like, when we go to India, we're always in Vrindavan. We're always going to see to maximize our time there. And that's Srila Gurudev's mission very much too, to go wholeheartedly in and capitalize on this opportunity that we have in the wake of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, which is the most auspicious and rare moment cosmically to be born ever on this planet, on this middle planet. But this time we wanted to go south to Kerala to take a little vacation. And we were with Tridani Maharaj, and he was leading us on a little parikram, and he tried to talk us out of it and try to tell us to go to Vrindavan. But something in us said that we needed to go south to Kerala, so we did.
We also had the flu and we were sick.
Yeah, massive purification. And while we were there, we were just taking Ayurvedic massages every day, reading Bhagavad Gita. And it was the only truly mystical experience that I've had. One morning getting up, and we had just come from Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math, where Gurudev Samadhi was being constructed. It was almost finished. They were still installing the Didis on the second and the third floor. But on the bottom floor where Gurudev's actual Samadhi was, it was beautiful. Anyone that's been there, you can imagine all around Gurudev's Samadhi, there were little rooms and displays with a full murti of the entire Guru Varga, from Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivedanta Raman Goswami Maharaj, and then, so on and so forth, through Srila Jagannathas Babaji Maharaj. And it just instilled this beautiful connection and activated that connection to me. I've been chanting to them before, but it really just solidified it. And I was doing this connecting and prayer and offering whenever I would chant japa in the morning to Guru Varga, and remembering going through Gurudev Samadhi. And when I got to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, very clearly I heard in my head, have children. And I've been praying to Bhagavad Gita and just really what is my dharma? Let me execute that. Let me, make it simple for me, because I tend to make things too complex and put pressure on that. So very simply, we heard that. And then when we got home, I was doing the same thing the very morning that we got home. And all of a sudden, I got to Srila Param Gurudev, and I hear this baby crying. And I'm like, what? And so, and then I finished my chanting, and I go, and then Jayashree had, she put on this video, a YouTube video, and it was of a baby just at that moment. So,
Confirmed.
So
it was confirmed.
So that you can cut my rambling short. Vancha kalpataru vista kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. All glories to Srila Gurudev. We humbly offer this. You want to say anything else?
No, we're going to come back and offer this song we wrote some time ago called Gurudev, I Am Yours, when it's convenient for you all. Mm-hmm. Perhaps, as Yashodhari said at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, actually, you could do it now. Let me just just say a couple of things about your offering before you sing your song. And I just wanted to say, actually, it's kind of a personal thing, really. I haven't had a lot of time with both of you, but the time I had with you, I seem to remember bagels being involved.
Oh, of course they were.
Yeah, suddenly bagels came in my head. But it was just like, I really miss you guys. I really want to, what you said about, and I actually really relate to this throughout my whole time as devotee in this lifetime. This idea of why did that happen, and how Gurudev wants us to serve together as a worldwide family. One of the things I love about Zoom is we're not limited by nationality at all. I mean, we're not meant to have a national conception anyhow. but by physical necessity we do, because that's who we associate with physically. But COVID has forced us all on Zoom, and I'm as close to you now as I am to someone, you know, down the road in London. So it's like shifting our conception about what is possible as a worldwide Sangha. And I just want to say that deeply, I really feel like when I met you guys, the time has not been great, but the depth was very, very great of connection. And I really want to, I'm really excited for when Gurudev puts us in connection of real meaningful seva together, because I feel that from my heart. And it's beautiful. And I'm so grateful that you've made your glorification today, because you're a very wonderful, special couple. And yeah, I just feel very, very happy to know you. And I'm very excited by how the relationship of seva can unfold during this lifetime, because that's what it's about. It's all about, there's nothing, you said about Sambandha, it's all about Sambandha. Everything is Sambandha. And one of the things I think we miss as Vaishnavas, and I'm not just talking about Gurudev Sambandha, I'm talking about Vaishnavas worldwide, is we seem to somehow bifurcate or split into the relationship that we have with Radha and Krishna and Parampara, and the relationships we have with each other, as if somehow it's not integrated. The Jiva-Jiva relationship is so important. It's like the measurement of where we're really at bhakti. If we chant all day, or 64 rounds or 32 rounds or 16 rounds or whatever we're doing, and then we're a mess, a car crash in our relationships with each other, then what are we doing? And Srila Bharati Maharaj, he showed through his example of seva to other Vaishnavas how important it is to exhibit whatever love we're getting from above, to exhibit that and express that through the love and seva we're doing to each other and with one another. This is what it's all about. So anyway, I'm so happy that you glorified Srila Gurudev today. Very excited about your song. And I pray somehow Gurudev manifests some seva I can do with you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What are you doing? We're going to sing a song, honey.
You want to help us?
Gurudev, you are my heart. One drop of your nectar, I am changed forever. Gurudev, from dark to light, you are perfect guidance, leading me back home. Gurudev, I am yours to do what I'm able by your grace and only by your mercy. Gurudev, why am I here? Past lives, countless karma soul bound, seeking truth. Gurudev, what can I do? Reserve and remember your language of love. Gurudev, please hear my call. Om Agyantimarandasya Gyananjena Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shree Guruvaya Namaha. I need you now. Greed, lust, envy, anger beating down my door. Gurudev, please take my tears. From deep within I'm crying, knowing you are near. Gurudev, my only prayer, to serve and remember your language of love. Gurudev, I am yours.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful. And we got that on recording, so that's really great. I'm inspired actually to read a poem. I was thinking, why do I want to read this poem? And I was thinking, because I came across it for the first time today. This poem actually rhymes with your sentiment, in that your relationship with Gurudev expressed through that poem somehow connects to the relationship that Raghunath Das Goswami has with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So this poem's called Gauranga Shtava Kalpa Vriksha. I'll just read the English. Whoever sees his gait and beautiful face enthusiastically spits on the grace of the most graceful elephant in rut and on the beauty of the moon. His complexion makes him resemble a splendid golden mountain, and his words come from his lips like waves of nectar. That golden limbed Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu rises within my heart and maddens me. As he danced before the Rath Yatra chariot, Caitanya Mahaprabhu pleased Lord Jagannath by decorating himself with the 9 jewels of the sattvic bar of ecstasies, namely paleness, becoming stunned, stuttering, trembling, shedding tears, horripilation, laughing, perspiring, and dancing. That golden limb, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, arises within my heart and maddens me. Trembling as he danced before Lord Jagannath's chariot, Lord Chaitanya staggered about in ecstasy, sprinkling everyone with water from the reddish syringes of his eyes and joyfully biting his charming lips with his teeth. That golden limb, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, arises within my heart and maddens me. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to the house of Kashi Mishra. There he would be greatly aggrieved, feeling separation from Krishna. The joints of his transcendental body would slacken. His arms and legs would become elongated. Rolling on the ground, the Lord would cry out in distress in a faltering voice and weep very sorrowfully. The appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awakens in my heart and maddens me. How wonderful it is! Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his residence without opening the 3 strongly bolted doors. Then he crossed over the 3 high walls, and later, because of strong feelings of separation from Krishna, he fell down amidst the cows of the Tailanga district and retracted all the limbs of his body like a tortoise. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared in that way, arises in my heart and maddens me. Because of separation from his many friends in Vrindavan, who were like his own life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman. His intelligence was transformed. Day and night he rubbed his moon-like face against the walls, and blood flowed from the injuries. May that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arise in my heart, make me mad with love. Oh, my dear friend, the doorkeeper, where is Krishna, the Lord of my heart? Kindly show him to me quickly. With these words, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addressed the doorkeeper like a madman. The doorkeeper grasped his hand and replied very hastily, "Come, see your beloved. May that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arise within my heart and thus make me mad also." Near Jagannath Puri was a great sand dune known as Chatakapavrata. Seeing that hill, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, I shall go to the land of Braj to see Govardhan Hill." Then he began running madly to it, and all the Vaishnavas ran after him. The scene awakens in my heart and maddens me. During Dola Yatra, the swing festival of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya stayed under a charming pavilion and sweetly and jubilantly sang the holy names in the company of Swarup Damodar and his other intimate devotees. That golden limb, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, arises with my heart and maddens me. Lord Chaitanya was as kind to Govinda Dasa as Lord Narayan is to Garuda. He was as devoted to Ishvara Puri as Lord Krishna was to his guru, Sandipani Muni, the best of acharyas. And he was as affectionate towards Swarup Damodar Goswami as Lord Giridhari was towards Subal. That golden limb, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, arises with my heart and maddens me. Although I am a fallen soul, the lowest of men, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered me from the blazing forest fire of great material opulence by his mercy. He handed me over in great pleasure to Swarup Damodar, his personal associate. The Lord also gave me the garland of Gunja that he wore on his chest and a stone from Govardhan Hill, although they were very dear to him. That same Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awakens within my heart and makes me mad after him. This poem is like a celestial desire tree whose charming branches are its verses. Those branches appear very splendid because of the blossoming flowers of variegated expressions of ecstatic love for Lord Gauranga that grow there. If a person regularly waters this tree with lots of the water of careful and pure reading, mixed with a powerful plant food of great faith, he will certainly be able to taste that tree's heavy nectarian fruit, the personal audience of Lord Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful program. Just want to say I really appreciate everyone that has spoken. I feel really honored, and yet again another week where I'm feeling that much more closer to Gurudev and understanding a different aspect of him. Every time I'm seeing devotees, it's like, hold on, Gurudev was like that. Hold on, Gurudev was like that, and it's just like mind-blowing. And I'm just really fortunate that I've got such a wonderful God family with me that's carrying me and bringing me closer to Srila Gurudev. It's now my duty to actually do the things that he told me to do, and that is to do my sadhan better. And I know that by doing so, and I'm every time I'm listening to this, it's being reinforced that without my sadhan, I actually want growing bhakti. So I'm just really grateful for everyone that is reminding me of my position and how fortunate I am. So thank you for such a wonderful, amazing program, and thank you for everyone that's joined. Please, if anyone can come and share on this Zoom program, it's just so beneficial. And I'm speaking on a selfish level. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but what you give me is just way beyond words of expressions. So thank you, and that's it from me. So my Dandavat Pranam.
Yushadari, we haven't had Kunja Bihari's offering, have we?
No, we haven't.
And he's online.
Oh, it couldn't be hard. Prabhu did say that he was going to speak something, no?
Yeah, I think next week, I thought he said, no?
Yeah, maybe. I think that, he's disappeared.
Yeah.